Welcome, friends. My name is Sam Mooney, and joining me from Dakota Land Federal Credit Union is the handsome and talented Brian Norberg. A little different venue than what we're acclimated to. Usually we're sitting next to each other in the Watertown Civic Arena. Today we're here in the boardroom of Dakota Land, and we're going to talk a little SoDak 16 game preview, Brian. Let's just jump into it. We'll just go top down, and we'll start from 1 and work our way down. Game 1, let's talk about Lincoln and Sturgis. Lincoln, the 1 seed, 20-0, taking on Sturgis, the 16 seed, 7-13.
Yeah, it's March, Sam. It's March, and I think this is an exciting time of year, and not only for just the state of South Dakota, but nationally as well. It's March Madness, whatever you want to call it. But people are excited, and there's a lot of good matchups here in this first round. Starting off with the 1-16 matchup, obviously on paper, is going to be weighted pretty heavily against the home team there, Lincoln, 20-0, undefeated. They have all the accolades. They deserve every bit of it. Coach Hanneman's done a great job with them, beating teams by an average of 21.5 points a game.
Impressive.
All quality wins. They played a quality schedule. And then you have Sturgis coming across the state and maybe trying to catch lightning in a bottle a little bit and taking on the number one host, Lincoln.
Yeah, of course, Lincoln led by Sam Erickson and Sam DeGroat. Sam squared. We saw him here in Watertown. Not just those two guys. I mean, 9 deep, an impressive basketball team. Prediction for that game?
I think it's going to be decided pretty early.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going out on a limb there, and I know as good as Lincoln has been all year, I think DeGroot is coming off of like something like 9 threes in their last game against Aberdeen Central. Just went off, and so they're a team that if they're playing well, they're going to be tough to knock off by anybody.
Okay, I'm going to go prediction. I'm going to say Lincoln by 25 plus.
Yeah, we may see the running clock be put into effect there in the second half of that game, and that's just a tough matchup for the Scoopers coming across to play Lincoln. And Lincoln's on a mission. I think they definitely have shown that this year, and I think they're going to continue that on here in the postseason.
Yeah, tough matchup to Sturgis, but doesn't discount what they did this season, coming in at 7-13. So good season for them. Sadly, prediction is going to be it's going to end against the best team in the state. All right, moving on to the second game here. We've got the number 2 Roosevelt Rough Riders against Rapid City Central. Roosevelt coming in at 16-4. Rapid City Central at 6-14. Who you got?
Well, I have Roosevelt. I think Roosevelt's coming off somewhat maybe an ugly win over Pierre in one of their last game of the season. And then you have Rapid City Central, which, if you're paying attention out there, they had a really good win over Jefferson here in the last weekend of the season. So
yeah, quality win.
Quality win, and we know how talented Jefferson can be or is. And so to see Central show a little life and knocking them off at home gives you an idea of the potential that they have. Now, they got to come across state and play Sioux Falls Roosevelt. We know the talent level that Coach Bagman has with the Roosevelt Rough Rider, 16-4. 2 of those losses are against Lincoln. So they had to play Lincoln twice, 2 of those losses, and then they had to go up to Watertown, and we were fortunate enough to call that game.
Great game.
And it's an outstanding game. And then a very talented Washington team who is as talented as anybody in the state of South Dakota. It's another one of their losses. So Coach Bagman will have them ready to go. They'll be looking to take care of business against the Rapid City Central Cobblers.
Cobblers had a legit schedule, right? They didn't play any Class A teams. Like you said, quality win in against Jefferson, and then wins against Aberdeen, Pierre, Douglas, beat Sturgis twice. I think, like you said, Coach Begeman's going to have them going. Justin Bilal and Memphis Bylander are going to be too much for Rapid City Central, so give me Roosevelt to win that one. No upsets quite yet.
Yeah, but I'd second that. I'd go with Roosevelt. We'll go to chalk here to this point, and I think the what Rapid City Central will be looking to do, can we handle the pressure? Can we take care of the pressure that Roosevelt will surely impose on them, and can we keep it into a half-court game? I think if it gets up and down, run up and down the court, there's too many athletes for Roosevelt. I'd go with Roosevelt.
All right. Moving on to the number 3 seed, 16-4 Huron Tigers versus the number 14 seed, 6-14 Pierre Govnas. Pierre, no wins against any AA teams above 500. Did pick up wins against Stevens, Sturgis, Douglas, and Mitchell. But boy, Huron's tough, Brian.
They are. They have so much size, and I think at the Huron Arena, they're that much better. Their losses, they played a really good schedule this year. They played early on. They played a really good Sioux Falls Christian team that they actually had down by 10 points in the second half, I believe. They had to play Lincoln at a game where Lincoln shot it extremely well. You play a really talented Roosevelt team, and then you have a Harrisburg team who we just saw last week up at the Watertown Arena, and the ability that they have to put up points on the board. They're going to be a tough out, especially at the Huron Arena. Yeah. Pierre's coming in, playing better basketball. We were able to watch them on a really tough back-to-back, their last game of the year at the arena. But if you look at what they've been doing score-wise, they've been playing better and better as the year's gone on. But it's a really tough matchup. They do have a little bit of size with the Twilliger kid to throw at Huron. Unfortunately, Huron's got about 3 or 4 other guys that size as well.
Yeah, maybe 4 or 5. Huron, of course, led by the 6'10" senior Blake Elwine, who is the all-time leading scorer in Huron history now. And not to be outdone is the 6'6" junior Anderson Porish, who's equally dangerous.
Yeah, and both of those two have been playing varsity basketball a long time for Huron, Coach Budenhagen down there. And I think this is a great opportunity for Blake Elwine to really kind of put his stamp on his career, maybe, for the Huron Tigers. No matter what, he's had an outstanding career. Like you say, all-time leading scorer, has done a great job. Have watched him continue to dominate through his senior year, and it just seems as though maybe Huron and Blake are figuring some things out to make them that much more of a threat to win it all in AA. And they are so difficult to keep off the glass with their size. They can make that court pretty small. And I think this really be interesting to see Huron as they go through the postseason here and what Blake Elwine can do to impose his will on the opponents.
Yeah, I mean, incredibly disciplined, well-coached, well-rounded, deep. Quality wins over Washington, Jefferson, Watertown, Brandon Valley, OG. Played a legit tough schedule. No upset here. Give me the Huron Tigers to win this game, Brian.
Yep, I'm going to go with you as well. Obviously, Huron. It could be ugly because Huron hasn't really, if you look at all their scores, they haven't really made every game. They haven't really blown everybody out, but they've won handily in a lot of their games. So maybe a little closer score-wise than what we would think, but they're going to be in control the whole game and take care of business at the arena. Yeah,
too talented, too disciplined, too well-rounded.
I'm going to jump in here for a second. One of the things that I like to look at is wins against teams that are plus 500. Pierre's got none of them this year. They haven't got any real good, solid wins.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen today.
Yeah, and Huron's got 7 wins against AA teams that have that finished the season at plus 500 or better. Quality basketball team. No upset here. Like I said, I'll take Huron. Speaking of Tigers, let's move on to the 4 seed, the Harrisburg Tigers versus the Yankton Bucks. Harrisburg comes in at 15-5. Yankton 8-12. Coach Langrock's got Harrisburg moving in the right direction, Brian.
Yeah, we were able to watch Harrisburg play in the arena and on a Thursday night, and very impressive. I thought the first quarter, neither team played extremely well. From that point on, they answered the bell about 3 different times in that game where it looks like Watertown was going to take control. Harrisburg's got a lot of quickness. They got a lot of skill on the perimeter. They have some kids that can hurt you around the basket. They can really fill it up. I just think they're a very dangerous team to score a lot of points, and with their quickness can get out and defend you as well. I think this is where it gets interesting, though. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. I'm not going out on a limb. I'm not making a prediction in this game, but this is where it gets interesting because anyone that knows anything about AA basketball, you know how well Yankton is now playing compared to the beginning of the year.
Yeah, finished 7-2. And started 1-10.
Okay, there you go. And finishing the year, 1-10, like you said, 1-10, and then finishing 7-2 with some good wins. Good wins over T, good wins over Spearfish, and then some losses that they are right in there. And if Coach Haynes down there has done a great job I believe the Kudera kid is coming off a 35-plus point performance out west here this past weekend. Maybe it's at home, I'm not sure, but coming off a big performance. And Coach Haynes will have them ready. And Coach Langrock knows this from Harrisburg, that they are going to be in for a battle, and they know that. And Harrisburg is favored as the 4 seed. They know playing against a good Yankton Buck team, a well-coached Yankton Buck team, that it's going to be a battle. And that's going to be a fun one. Yeah,
that one, I've definitely got my eyes on that one. Coach Langrock with 18 years at Harrisburg, seasoned, well-rounded. He'll have the team ready to go. He's definitely understands the importance of it. And listen, I mean, the SoDak 16, in and you're in, or winning you're in, and losing you're done. So it's this opponent and nobody else. There's no more looking forward after this.
No, it's one game. And what I will say, and I will start my prediction first here. We'll throw you off your schedule here. I apologize, but I would say will be not surprised whatsoever if this is a really close game that comes down to a few possessions. I think at the end of the day, it isn't the best matchup for Yankton as far as position and size. I think Harrisburg's strength can be Yankton's strength a little bit. So I think because of that, I think Harrisburg just got a few more bullets in the chamber against a really good Yankton team that's playing good basketball. Yeah,
I agree. I'm gonna no upset here yet. I'm gonna stick with Harrisburg. I think they're so well coached, and they're deep, right? I mean, you can get 7 or 8 with Harrisburg. Guard heavy, as we saw, but definitely physical underneath with 21. And I got Harrisburg coming out of this one, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be a little closer than what maybe people think.
Yeah, I think that bench play off the bench, some players off the bench, is going to be the difference in that game, maybe down the stretch.
I mean, our Dakota Land player of the game was Dodd coming off the bench, and special talent there. So I'm going to take Harrisburg in this one too, Brian. Okay, let's go to Watertown Mitchell. Watertown comes in at 15-5, hosting the Mitchell Colonels at 8-11. Watertown quality wins over Brandon Valley, O'Gorman, Jefferson, and Roosevelt. Mitchell's got quality wins over Harrisburg and Washington, 2 teams that Watertown lost to. What do you got here, Brian?
Yeah, this is just like the Harrisburg game. It's a good one. It's a good one. And I think you get to this point, and like the previous matchup that we talked about, you have to play a good basketball game to get a win. Whether you're the 4 seed, the 5 seed, the 13 seed, or the 12, you have to play a good basketball game to get a win. Watertown played Mitchell first game of the year. We were at that game, had the ability to call that game, and it was close. It
4
was
points,
close.
if I remember right.
Overtime, I think.
That's a long time.
Long time away.
A long time ago.
Long time ago, yep.
But I will say both teams are different teams from that point till now, and I know both teams feel like they're a lot better than they were at that point in the season, just being the first game of the year. We know we have Colton Smith that's been at Mitchell playing since his 8th grade year, I believe.
Yeah, 6'5" senior guard. Can do it all.
And so Colton's going to have a lot to say about what goes on in this game, and he's been through the battles. He's played on some outstanding Mitchell teams. This team doesn't have as many, maybe the record doesn't show like the previous teams, but they have some winners and a winner's mentality. They are a program that now has gone through, starting with Coach Neuendorf there a few years back, and then Coach Riker. Kreitzfeldt's done a great job there continuing on that tradition. So they're coming in, Sam, with the mindset of expecting to win, and really with confidence that that's what they do come March. You have Watertown, who is a team that has had an outstanding season, somewhat of a breakout season. We've talked about them all year. We get to call their games. Coach McClemens and the fellas have done an outstanding job. You can see the quality wins that are on the schedule. They beat 4 teams over 500, led by Carter Bisker on the scoring department. They have other players that can hurt you on the offensive end. They finally have some size where they have different bodies to throw at you on the defensive end. They're at best when they're in transition. Mitchell knows this. Mitchell's going to probably want to limit possessions in this game. They would love to keep this score a lot lower and keep it into a half-court game, have it be a slugfest to give themselves a chance against probably what you would say would be a little bit more talented offensive team in the Watertown Arrows. But what a matchup. And Coach Riker Kreitzfeldt's going to have them ready to go. Coach Mack's going to have the Arrows ready to go. It's going to be a battle.
Yeah, this one's going to be at the Watertown Civic Arena on Saturday at 6 o'clock. We're fortunate enough, like you said, to be able to call this one. What a blessing and an opportunity. We're going to see 6'5" senior forward Jackson McClemens. Which Jackson McClemens are we going to get? are we going to get the one that just came out streaking, smoking hot against Huron in the fourth quarter? The one that attacks the basket, shoots well, distributes well, and Carter Bisker and the rest of the crew. It'll be interesting to see. And if you're the Arrows, I mean, you got a lot to play for too. I mean, potentially with Coach McClemens.
Yeah, for sure. And the same goes for Watertown and the other 15 schools that will be competing on Saturday. Is that you don't have the second chance that you used to have when there's 2 district games and then a region game. It's one and done. It's do or die. And I think when you have a veteran team like Watertown has, that can go one of 2 ways. It can give them a lot of confidence. You have some experience. You've been here before. Because they've been here before. They weren't able to come away with a win last year, but they've been in this game.
Yep.
I think there's a different level of expectation going into this game for the boys, for the Arrows. And I always used to say, there's a huge difference between hoping and expecting. And I think in a good way, Watertown should go into this game confident that we are capable of getting this win and getting it done, because hey, this is part of the journey. They've had a great team. They've had a great season and put together a great season. This is just another step in that journey to get to where they ultimately want to go.
Yeah, and if you're Mitchell, you're coming in confident. You've got a couple seniors on that team. You're well coached. You've got championship lineage. This is a game that Mitchell is fully expecting to win.
So who do you got? Who do you got?
I'm going to take Watertown. Call me a hometown. Call me a homer bias, but give me the Arrows to win this one. Well coached again, and I hate to be redundant, but I think coaching matters at this level, and not that Coach Riker isn't a good coach. He is. He's a great coach. But I'm going to take the Arrows at home to punch their ticket to the state tournament.
I like it. We've obviously, we're as hosts here going chalk a little bit. I'm going to say on the coaching front of it, throw it out the window. Throw it, because if you have Coach Kreisfeld and Coach McClemens, well,
great
okay.
coaches.
Yeah, throw it out the window.
Yep.
They're going to be ready to play. Both these coaches, they're going to have these guys ready to play.
Of course, for
It'll
sure.
come down to some key possessions, but I think what we see as the biggest thing is, can you keep Mitchell off the offensive glass? Can you limit their offense to one possession type, one shot type possessions? Sure. Can you do that? And then can you do it on the defensive end to lead to some transition buckets in the offensive end? That's when Watertown's at their best. So this higher paced game, and then bench play.
Yeah,
Sneaky,
I agree.
Sneaky, in the words of Lee Corso, right?
Yeah,
not so fast, my friend.
Yeah.
Not so fast. You got to watch out for those bench players.
I couldn't agree more. And I think if you're Mitchell, you probably have the best player on the court, the best overall player on the court, maybe with Colton Smith. But team wise, depth wise, I'm going to take Watertown in that.
Okay, I'll take Watertown as well, but it's going to have to be because we have some guys step up and do what they typically do, and then also a couple other kind of role players. That
you got
up.
4 guys that average just about 10 points on the Arrows team, so very deep, and then some role players that can step up in a big way. Okay, I think we could spend all day talking about that one. Let's move on to the 6 and 11, the 6 versus 11. O'Gorman coming in at 12-8 versus Washington coming in at 10-10. There may not be a hotter team in the state right now than Sioux Falls, Washington, led by 6'2" senior forward Jace Woods.
Yeah, look out for the Washington Warriors. I guarantee Sioux Falls O'Gorman looked at this matchup as a 6 seed and probably was hoping for a little bit kinder matchup than the Washington Warriors, because anyone in the state knows that is the team everyone wanted to avoid.
Correct.
And if you look at their games and watch their film, watch the scores, Washington's really playing good basketball, but they're doing it with a really talented team. And so they had a little trouble getting their legs under them here to start the year, but I would say about the halfway point on, they've been as good as anybody. Wins against Watertown at home, wins against Brandon Valley, Roosevelt, and T. Those are all some really good wins that they've had.
Started 8-2, finished 8-2.
Yep. Well, yeah.
2-8. Started 2-8, finished 8-2.
Yeah. So Coach Tobin has them playing well. When you talk about Jace Woods, you were talking about maybe, and I'm not trying to take away from any athlete that I can't think of right now, but maybe the best overall athlete playing
Incredible
basketball,
athlete.
at least in the AA ranks here this year, kind of hands down. If you watch him and some of the stuff
he's special.
does,
He's special.
He is special. Going to play receiver at South Dakota State, and just a phenomenal athlete, Division I athlete running around out there. And then, hey, surrounded with some other guys that really can play the game. And so they're a dangerous team. O'Gorman knows what they have in front of them. One thing about this matchup is O'Gorman and Washington are very familiar with each other. Mm-hmm. Coach Roby, in his final year at the helm at Sioux Falls O'Gorman, is going to have the O'Gormanites ready to go. And they also, kind of more sneakily, they are playing really good basketball here. Their best basketball is being played right now compared to the beginning of the season.
Yeah, O'Gorman led by Mason Clark and, of course, Jackson Wheeldryer. O'Gorman has lost 2 of their last 3. They beat Mitchell on a last-second 3, but again, they've got quality wins over Brandon Valley. They beat Washington twice. They beat Jefferson. They beat Harrisburg. So, O'Gorman is a quality basketball team, but this may be the matchup of the state in AA.
There's going to be a lot of eyes on this one, and I would say it's definitely a 50-50 game in most people's eyes. But I think, we talked about a little bit earlier, the expectations of kids, expectations of programs. Sioux Falls O'Gorman kids expect to get in the state tournament. They expect to be there. This O'Gorman team, and I think Coach Roby would be the first to tell you, is a different type of basketball team than what O'Gorman usually puts on the floor. They're just made up differently.
Sure.
But don't sleep on them. Their guard play is really good. Their quickness is really good. And I think they had to find themselves and their identity this year. And if you look at their wins, they have as many as anybody almost, other than maybe Lincoln. And maybe Roosevelt. But 5 wins against AA teams over 500. And you got to remember, they play Lincoln twice. They play Roosevelt twice. Right. They weren't able to knock them off. Those are 4 losses right there. They beat a Harrisburg. They beat a Jefferson. They beat Washington twice, which is not easy to do.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Look out. That's going to be a great battle. And the fact it's at O'Gorman's gym, from experience, not easy.
You know what's harder to do than beating a team twice in one season? Beating them 3 times in one season. I'm going to go with the hot team. This is going to be my first upset. I'm going to pick Washington to win this one. 4 wins in a row, 2 against very quality opponents in Roosevelt and T. O'Gorman's coming in a little cold with 2 out of 3 games taking a loss, and one of those, and that lone win against Mitchell came on a last-second 3-pointer. I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to take the hot team. I'm going to go Washington.
Love that pick. Not so fast, my friend.
Okay.
Not so fast.
This is our first disagreement.
You are going outside of the chalk. I love it. I think it's a great pick. Give me the Knights in a close one.
All right.
At the O'Gorman Gymnasium. It's going to be loud. It's going to be packed.
It'll be a good atmosphere there.
Give me the Knights against the Washington Warriors on Saturday.
All right. That'll be a fun one to keep real close attention to. Let's go to another very close matchup here with the 12-8 Brandon Valley 7 seed taking on the 10-10 Jefferson team from Sioux Falls. Brandon Valley comes in with 3 wins against AA teams. Got a good schedule, tough schedule for Brandon Valley. Who do you got here?
Brandon Valley, Jefferson. This is an interesting one. I really like what Coach Smith has done with this Brandon Valley team compared from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And I just feel like I'm a broken record a little bit, but I think a lot of these teams are playing their best basketball. Yeah. Even if their wins and losses aren't backing that statement up. I know Coach Nelson, okay? And if I said Coach Smith, I apologize. Coach Nelson, I know Coach Nelson and what he's done there, coming off a state championship as far as this program is expecting to get themselves to a state tournament. Mm-hmm. I think you have great leadership in Coach Nelson that has his team playing very disciplined basketball. They're going to know exactly who they are and what they want to get done when they step on the court on Saturday against a really talented Jefferson team that probably, of all the teams, is trying to figure out who they are. Okay, trying to figure out who they are, because on one night they're good enough to take Lincoln down to the wire and have a shot to win it against Lincoln, and then go out to Rapid City and get beat by Rapid City Central. So they've been a little more inconsistent than Brandon Valley, and because of that, I kind of like the Lynx in this game.
Jefferson, I mean, not so fast on Jefferson, to steal your words. 5'10" junior guard Jace Unzen. We saw him here in Watertown. Very impressive. The 6'1" senior guard Kawhi Mann, equally impressive. They can put up points fast, score ability, spurt ability with Jefferson. 4 wins against quality AA opponents. They did beat OG. They beat Washington twice. They beat T, who I think is a very underrated basketball team in the state of South Dakota. I know this game's in Brandon Valley, but I think it's poised for upset. That being said, I'm going to go Brandon Valley. I think Brandon Valley.
You wanted to, though.
I do. I really do. I do, because I'm really impressed with Jefferson's program. I think.
Coach Reck does a great job.
Yeah,
Coach Reck does a great job.
Does a phenomenal job, and they had a legit schedule. Jefferson did. I definitely could see Jefferson eking this one out, but I'm going to go with the home team here, Brandon Valley. They've got that pedigree, and I think they take it home.
Well, and I think just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, I just think the consistency, it's easier to go with Brandon Valley in this game just because I think they're a little bit more known entity at this point in the season. And I think with Jefferson, they've just shown that they've been up and down a little. They've ridden the roller coaster a little bit, but they're talented enough to beat any of these teams on the sheet.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a fun one down at Brandon Valley as well. But I would go with the Lynx as well. Yeah,
I think that's definitely going to be a game that a lot of people are going to pay attention to. And then wrapping it up for us here is going to be Spearfish, the 8 seed at 15-5, taking on T area, the 9 seed at 12-8. Let's start with T, led by Gavin Schad, and then the 6'4" junior Weebiga.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Sam, we watched T play early in the year in Watertown, and we're really impressed with their guard play. They had, I forget the sophomore's name. The sophomore came off the bench, but kind of the third wheel in that game really hurt Watertown. Mm-hmm. Guard play's phenomenal. T's they've hit a rough patch. They have hit a rough patch. Now, if you look at the teams they've hit a rough patch against, they've lost against some really good teams here.
Yeah, Brandon Valley, Yankton, Washington, and then Marshall, Minnesota.
Yeah, so they finished 0-4, and a couple of those scores, I'm texting people saying, hey, what's going on with T? Are they sick? Are they injured? That type of deal. But I think they definitely have hit more of a rough patch than the rest of the teams. I would say of all the teams, maybe they're limping in to the postseason just based off their record and their scores compared to some of the other teams as far as how they're playing. Actually, you could make the same case about Spearfish. They had a rough trip out east here last weekend, and then this weekend, I think maybe Yankton got them, and then they were able to maybe get Brookings here at the last game of the year for them. But with Spearfish, the question is, Sam, where are they at against an East River schedule?
Quality opponents.
You know what I mean? Where are they at there? 0-3 against AA teams of over 500. Mm-hmm. So they lost to Brandon Valley, Harrisburg, and Huron.
Yep,
and
Huron.
then they had the second easiest schedule in AA.
Did beat Mitchell. Beat Mitchell.
Yep. And then they did play 8 Class A teams, and they went 7-1. And you know as well as I do, don't sleep on Class A.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at the Class A, we could pit these two classes together. It would be a battle.
Yeah.
But some of their schedule is a little more suspect than maybe some of the other teams that are in the top 16 here.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Coach Schultz, the former Brandon Valley Lynx, has done an outstanding job with. We're talking about culture. We're talking about expectations. I think Spearfish expects to win. I think Spearfish expects to get themselves to a state tournament because of Coach Schultz and what he's done with his guys. He's got them believing. Now, they've hit some roadblocks here against some of the better teams in AA, mm-hmm. but right now, this 8-9 matchup, to me, it's a coin toss. It's going to be out at Spearfish, which I think is a really big deal.
Yeah, I think schedule matters. I think quality of play matters. And in this case, I think T is battle-tested. They did have wins against Watertown that we saw here early in the season. Watertown missing Caden Decker. But nonetheless, it's hard to come into this venue and win. They did. They beat OG. They beat Harrisburg. Those are quality wins for the T area Titans. They've got good size. They've got and like I said, they're battle tested, and I think that matters, especially this time of year. So I'm going to take T to win this one.
So you're gonna go
T on T on the road to come up with the upset.
We're gonna go out and knock off Spearfish out in. Have you been to Spearfish's gym?
I have not.
Great high school venue. It's going to be rocking. Do I have to make a pick on this one? Because I could go either way. I really could go either way.
I could find a coin.
I'm going to go with the home team.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Coach Schultz and the Spartans. I just don't know what's going on with T right now. Can they get it back together? Because what we saw earlier in the year, that's a really good basketball team, like you said.
Yep.
They just kind of hit a rough patch here at the end of the year. But I think Spearfish at home is the difference. Getting the T-Titans to come out to their place.
Yeah, it's going to be that's not an easy trip to make for T by any means. But like I said, I think schedule matters. I think quality of opponents matter, and I think T is battle tested, and they played a very tough AA schedule.
Yeah, and I think if you give me 5 minutes, if you give me 5 minutes, I could convince myself to make a different pick on this one. This is truly a 50-50 game. It's going to be should be a good.
We were watching that Brookings Spearfish game last Saturday afternoon. Had that gone the other way, these two teams would have flip-flopped. This game would have been in T. And Brookings gave them a run. It almost got their second win of the season. Brookings was against Rapid City here in Watertown.
Yep.
This was almost their second win, but Spearfish pulled it out.
Yeah, I'm going to take T on that one. So I'm going to go 2 upsets. I've got 9 beating 8, and then I got 11 beating 6. And it looks like you've got home team winning them all.
I went chalk. I did. Unapologetically, I'm going chalk because I
like it.
I could see it. I could see there being 4 upsets. I really could, but no one's ever accused me of being original, so I'm going
chalk.
Okay.
So that kind of puts a bow on our SoDak 16. Can anybody beat Lincoln in the state tournament?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here's what happens. And Sioux Falls Lincoln was the dominant team this year, obviously 20-0. They're the dominant team in AA basketball. But what happens so many times, and you could go back and look at all the dominant teams, and let's just say AA basketball, over the last 20-some years, there's points of the season where you're thinking no one's going to touch them. Mm-hmm. No one's going to touch them. And no matter what you do, other teams continue to get better. And when you're kind of at the top of the mountain, I'm not saying that team isn't getting any better, because they are. It's just really hard for that gap not to close.
Sure.
And so I think because of that reason, you have a handful of teams at the state tournament that will test Sioux Falls Lincoln. They also are good enough to run through it and win every game by over 20 points.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that window usually closes. Coach Hanneman knows that. He knows that he's preaching that to his guys. What you're battling a little bit with Lincoln is you're battling yourselves as far as keeping that motivation.
And it's hard to go undefeated in AA basketball.
It's really hard.
We've seen it, but it is hard. This is, like we said at the start of the show, this is an exciting time for South Dakota basketball. It's an exciting time for basketball all across the country. Wherever you are, wherever you're tuning in from, I think Brian, I can speak for Brian and Ryan, go to the game. Streaming makes it fun and easy to watch at home, but the atmosphere at these different venues and these different arenas around the state is fun, and it's unmatched, and these kids deserve that type of atmosphere. So wherever you're at, if you're in Huron, if you're in Watertown or Roosevelt or Lincoln, if you're out in Spearfish, go to the game.
Agreed. Get a chance to see Sam Mooney in person.
It's a special treat for everybody, that's for sure.
That it is, every night. I agree with you, and so much of has been said about SoDak 16, the format, this and that. What I love about it is that you get rewarded for your regular season, mm-hmm. and you also it's a do or die situation. You have one game at the AA level to get to the state tournament, punch a ticket. Some people say, well, that just, they should be different, or some people just like how it used to be.
Sure.
But I believe we have some great matchups. I think the SoDak 16 has produced basically pretty much everyone that should be in this is in it, and it's going to be really interesting. Yeah,
it's going to be fun. Enjoy South Dakota basketball. Like I said, wherever you're at, enjoy the matchups, support your communities, support your kids. Brian and I will be here with Arrow TV on Saturday at 6 o'clock, welcoming in the Mitchell Colonels against the Watertown Arrows. Excited for the opportunity and enjoy the basketball games.
And also, none of our picks, we didn't put any money on it or anything, right? I mean, if I was not informed weight that I have on my picks here, I was not.
You should have read
informed.
your contract. So
that's, take it out of my paycheck.
That's
if I lose, take it out of the paycheck.
That's on you.
That'll be fine. Yes.
All right.
Should
enjoy South Dakota high school basketball. Thank you.